And we have been reporting all day long. The man wanted and suspected of the mass shooting in Highland Park has been arrested.
Julian Cruz, who's live with that part of the story this afternoon.
Well, Lourdes and Ray, the massive manhunt is over. An alert North Chicago patrol officer who was in his vehicle, according to Chris Covelli and other law enforcement here, spotting the person of interest and then radioing to other patrol officers in the area. It's not clear if they were also North Chicago. They might have been Lake Forest assisting at that point in time, but they gave a brief chase at that point in time, and then the suspect rolled up to about 41 and Wesley. This would be closer to Lake Forest, and that's when they were able to take this individual into custody, and happened just a short while ago.
Person of interest is now being taken to the Highland Park Police Department, where we're going to begin the the next phase of the investigation and speak with this person to make sure or see if in fact he is connected to this incident.
Robert Bobby Crimo III has been taken into custody. He will be interviewed by detectives. He was a person of interest who was named within the last couple of hours or so, giving investigators the name and the individual they were looking for, able to put his picture out. Authorities telling us that they received a huge volume of tips, phone calls from people just noticing something out of place, or others that know Bobby Crimo. So basically they were able to take him into custody, and among the people who were here to find out exactly what was going on here in Highland Park was the Governor, J.B. Pritzker, and Senator Tammy Duckworth.
We have to do more to keep our communities safe. We have to get rid of assault weapons, high-capacity magazines, and so many other additional common-sense reforms that wide majorities of Americans are crying out for.
And Tammy Duckworth, Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker, they were here talking about the people who have died, grieving the loss of 6 individuals and the terrible impact it's had on their families, not to mention more than 24 other individuals who were injured or seriously injured as a result of this incident that happened just after 10 o'clock this morning, when an individual was seen shooting from the roof of a building near Central and Green Bay Road in downtown Highland Park. This is during the Independence Day parade just after 10 o'clock, when this individual opened fire and then managed to flee the scene for a short while. Once again, though, we just want to repeat that this individual's person of interest is in custody, being investigated by detectives. In Highland Park, Julian Cruz, WGN News.
All right, and Julian, I want to take a second to bring folks back to the scene of where that arrest was made. This is a picture that we've been able to obtain of when that arrest was happening of Bobby Crimo III. Again, this is the individual who they've connected or accused of that shooting, that 4th of July shooting in Highland Park. They arrested him within the last half hour or so, and this picture made available. This was in Lake Forest near Buckley and 41 is what they're telling us. But you can see the police officers as they surrounded him, handcuffed him, and then brought them into their vehicle to take him in for processing this afternoon.
Well, that is a dramatic photo for us to get our first look at the suspect. That was not part of a driver's license, a DMV photo or a mugshot, but to actually see him. Now, Skycam 9 is over his vehicle right now. We watched a U.S. Marshal explosive sniffing dog working the perimeter of the car before those agents could open it up, get inside and inspect to find what evidence they could. But apparently the dog did not trigger that there was any immediate danger. They were able to get inside now. You see all the doors are open. They are going through very carefully for a forensic analysis. They wanted to make sure that it is safe. They will bring in then a team of investigators who will look for clues that will tell them emphatically that this is the suspect that they had been looking for, and if there are any investigative details that will lead them to understand what might have propelled him, they will be able to ascertain that information.
And of course, people living in Highland Park or who were at that parade today are happy to hear the news that there has finally been an arrest, because it has been a lot of anxiety throughout the day today, as they, since 10 o'clock this morning, have known that there is someone out there who police considered armed and dangerous who had not been arrested at this hour. Sean Lewis has been at the scene throughout the day in Highland Park covering this mass shooting. Sean, are you there right now?
Yeah, Lourdes and Ray, as you can imagine, you talking about anxiety, that high level of anxiety here for hours after that shooting, just after 10 o'clock. There is a sense of relief here, certainly a sense of relief that the person that they were looking for has been caught just north of here in North Chicago. But let's talk about the emotional toll that these people have gone through, not only physically, but that emotional toll, because this was the scene of a parade, a happy event, and this is what's left behind now. Now that 8 hours since this shooting, we have children's chairs and bikes, baby strollers, we have treats, we have balloons, and we have folding chairs. All of this was left behind by hundreds of people who had gathered just in this one area for the start of this parade at 10 o'clock this morning. Let me also show you what we have here, because the number of law enforcement officers on this street at Central in Green Bay certainly has gone down quite a bit in the last several hours. But you can see in the center of the next intersection, we have some yellow tripods. Now, those are crime scene investigators. They are taking measurements and pictures of this entire scene here. That is where this shooting occurred. Just to the left of those tripods, if you can zoom in, Vince, on that cream-colored building there that you see right on the corner, that is where officers believe this shooter aimed his weapon. He somehow got up onto the roof on a ladder that was built into the structure, into the building, that was unsecured. So he was able to access the roof and do his shooting from that vantage point. And then after the shooting, he was able to get back down and escape through the crowds of people also fleeing for their lives. We saw a number of people, even hours after this shooting, who had sought shelter in all of these buildings and all of the storefronts here over the last several hours right after the shooting, and they were led away by law enforcement teams, many in tactical gear, and the looks on their faces of these people who had not been physically harmed but certainly had an emotional toll was palpable to me. And there is, of course, that sense of relief now that they have someone in custody, but still there's going to be a lot of work to do, not only for the crime scene investigators, but also for those families who were here to enjoy the 4th of July.
All right, Sean Lewis reporting for us today. Thank you, Sean.
Well, Cardinal Blase Cupich did release a statement on the shooting today. In fact, just a short time ago this evening, in that statement, he wrote this: "Please join me in praying for the victims and their loved ones who never imagined a July 4th celebration could become a killing ground. Pray, too, for the safety of first responders as they pursue the person responsible for this tragedy. And they bravely rushed into the danger to treat victims and to protect others from harm. Whatever one makes of the right to bear arms, there is plenty of room for prudential judgment in interpreting the Second Amendment so as to enact serious, broadly popular gun safety measures." The Senate finally passed a significant yet modest gun safety bill last month, but clearly more must be done. The right to bear arms does not eclipse the right to life or the right of all Americans to go about their lives free of the fear that they may be shredded by bullets at any moment. Gun violence is a life issue. We must continue to pray that all our officials, elected and unelected alike, will redouble their commitment to keeping safe the people they have